You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance because you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. The ambassador of joy. And you tuned into this show for one reason and one reason only. And it's the best reason in the whole world because you care the most, the entire world, about you. Y-O-U. And that's great because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And we're going to talk about a lot of that, about love and resilience and powerful goodness in the world when you're going to meet Connor in just a few minutes. So I just want to welcome everybody. Right now we have about 517,000 people around the world that are watching or listening. And by the time we bring on Connor, we'll be up to about 525, 530,000 people. I say thank you because you're always urging your friends and family to come and listen and watch and be involved. And what we like to do is urge you to share this with 5 people. You want to share with 50 or 100, that's up to you. But at least 5 people who can touch 2.5 million people around the world just in this show. And this show is really important because it's about you and living your life to the full. So before we bring on wonderful Connor, I just want to tell you a reason that you're here is because you know that in this show we discuss the 3 fundamentals of life. And when you use these 3 fundamentals and internalize, utilize, and leverage them, the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Now, the 3 fundamentals, of course, are number 1, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym. It stands for make a difference. Leave a purpose-driven life, make a difference in the world. And number 3 is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, this show is carried over the internet worldwide. And if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, that say has to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? And it's a great song. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong Satchmo for enabling this song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. In the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. It's called being quadriplegic. And it was not because of an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease that took over my body and rendered me completely paralyzed. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking one. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Powerful, purposeful, pleasant, all because of one word. One word. And that word is smile. I got to tell you, though, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile? S-M-I-E-L. I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? After I'll come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym. It stands for causing, rethinking, enabling all to excel. You're going to hear a lot about rethinking from wonderful Connor. And when you do that, you create a shift in perspective. Now, I got to tell you, I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. And when they come to me on paper, they're perfectly fine, doing great. Except that what happens is they oftentimes have dropped the F in shift, and the other stuff happens in their life. You're going to be effing careful with your Fs. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit, and then you can internalize, realize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your path in life and your trajectory. You're going to learn that from Connor. So before we bring on Connor, I just want to urge everybody, and warn new people, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. And I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it for the shock value, and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family, your friends want to point your finger, twinkle in your eyes, smile on your face, what it stands for, and tell everybody, F-U. Remember to add capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? I listened to Barry Shore, and he had on amazing Connor. Now you got their attention, and now you can share with them these wonderful, amazing insights that are going to make you happier and healthier and wealthier. So before we bring on Connor, I urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Kind is a wonderful acronym that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody right now that inspires noble deeds more than wonderful, amazing, fabulous Connor Fields. Connor, please say hello to 526,819 people around the world.
If I had to do that one by one, we might be here for a little while. But hello, everybody. That was one heck of an intro. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is an absolute delight, pleasure. And anybody who knows anything about sport, Olympic sport, racing with something called a BMX, a little bicycle, like motocross on a bike, knows Connor Fields. I mean, this is such a pleasure and honor because not only is he, if I tell you all the things about him, we'll take the rest of the show, just like you said. That would take all the shows just because of you. However, we're going to highlight 3 things. Number 1, yes, Olympic gold medalist. Hello. That doesn't happen to most people in the world. Number 2, an event that helped shape his life where he was able to use resilience to get through it and create another pathway. And number 3, and this is really something special, he is one of the most dynamic people that you'll ever have a chance to interact with. So you're going to learn a lot, and let's just jump right in, Connor, and talk about stuff that motivates you. And one of those things, I believe, is the R word. Well, we'll call that resilience. So what is it about you? What happened in your life that enabled you to embody and personify resilience?
It's a tough question because, you know, the debate is always if people are born with resilience or if you're developed resilience. You know, I think, and in my personal opinion, I think everybody is born with the ability to be resilient, but not everybody brings that out of them. Resilience is a choice. And in my opinion, it begins by putting yourself in situations that are not easy. And so for me, when I think all the way back to being a kid, when you're an athlete and when you're trying to be, you know, better at something or be the best in the city or the best in the state, you have to work really hard and you have to learn what sacrifice and commitment and all of those types of things are. And it's like, I want to win this event more than I want to sit on the couch today. Or if it's winter and it's cold outside and it's the day before Christmas I'm going to go to the gym because I want to be prepared for the race in March instead of sit on the couch and relax right now. And, when I was young, it was learning those types of lessons about commitment and long-term thinking and goal setting and commitment, things like that. And then as you get older, and the stakes got higher, it really just wasn't even an option, right? If you are my first Olympics, as an example, my first Olympics, I got 7th place and I was the favorite. I was supposed to win. 7th place was a disappointment. And you get home from the Olympics and you don't really have an option. I guess your option is to quit. You could retire. Or if you want to get better and you want to improve, you have no choice but to be resilient. But a lot of those foundations were set when I was young, just learning about what commitment meant and what sacrifice meant.
So let's talk about the two C words, commitment and choice. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let's probe a little bit, because again, Olympic gold, not only Olympic gold, participating in the Olympics. And by the way, let's be blunt, coming in 7th, it's not, you were favored. Boo-hoo. Well, it was a tough day. I did all kinds of reasons and such. The reason that you do, and you grab the handlebars, it's like those are like the horns of the bull, and you wrestle it. I mean, those same kind of things, right? You hold those bars, same thing. That's the bull. Now you give up the bullshit, and now you're really riding the rails. I'm using some of your terms.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, I want to probe, how much does your family structure, well, I don't care if it's siblings, mother, father, cousins, and uncle, have to do with that shaping of your mindset early on?
A lot. You don't realize it when you're young, right? When I was 9 years old, I didn't realize that what my parents were doing was helping me become a better athlete and person. But when I think back, I really think that the two things that my parents did that helped, and what I always try to tell parents of young athletes and just young people in general when they ask, number one is my parents gave me opportunity, but they didn't force me to do anything. My parents would take me to the track all the time. They would take me to the competitions. They would give me the opportunity, but they wouldn't force me to do anything I didn't want to do. And then that leads into the second thing. If I didn't get the result that I wanted, they would tell me, or they would ask me, they'd say, did you prepare as hard as you could? Do you think you prepared as much as Jimmy, if Jimmy beat you? Do you think Jimmy might have prepared more? Were you committed? Do you think you earned that win? They would kind of let me understand that you had to work hard in order to achieve what you wanted to achieve. And then the other thing that comes to my mind as well is they always told me that I could do anything I set my mind to. And I think that that's really important within reason. Obviously, like, I did not have any talent as a basketball player. I'm terrible at basketball. Doesn't matter how much I worked at basketball, I was never going to be great at basketball.
And by the way, he's only 5'11".
Yeah. But my parents, they never.
It's good for BMX. In other words,
I was built for something specifically, but like, my parents never told me that I could be a basketball star. But my parents knew that I had some talent on the BMX. They knew I had the ability to get good grades at school. They knew I had certain abilities. And then they nurtured those abilities by encouraging me and telling me that if you work hard, you can achieve that goal. We believe in you. You can do this. And I think that that's really important and not even just for young people, but for your friends, for people, it doesn't matter. Encourage them that they can be great within their abilities. And I think like that's the key thing is within their abilities. Don't encourage me that I could be a great dancer. I've got no rhythm, because that's just not going to happen. But things that I am good at, encouraging me and help me believe that I can work hard to be better is really important.
Okay, I want to ask a probing question. Do you have any siblings?
Nope, it's just me.
So because you were channeling everything from, as you said, mother and father, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. So let's now talk about something else that you mentioned. What I specifically liked is I called them the 2 O words. To move from obligation to opportunity. As you said many times, my parents offered me the opportunity. and you used it to advantage. However, you also said, and this is really cool, day before Christmas, it's cold and dark out. You didn't miss working on your sport, working on you. You didn't miss a day. It wasn't that, I think it's a little bit called go back under the covers. So you understood that you, even at an early age, that you can move from what we call obligation, I got to do it, to opportunity. Wow, I get the opportunity to go out there when it's dark and nobody else is doing this. And that gets your mindset into the winner's frame. I'm going to mention it. I emphasize it because I'm privileged to, because I swim now, and I used to not be able to swim. And I was a quadriplegic. And now I swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. Look, the ability to move from that obligation into opportunity, those are the words of Michael Phelps, the most winning Olympian in the history of the sport.
Yeah. If you combine me and Michael Phelps have 23 gold medals combined.
Right. It's all those things that you were saying that you internalized, utilized, and leveraged so that you can become and did prove to be the best in the world.
Yeah, but with that even being said, I don't want to sugarcoat it, and I don't want to make it seem like I woke up every single morning and said, this is an opportunity. I really am excited. Like, there were, without a doubt, days that I didn't want to do it. But what it really boiled down to was, if you have a goal and you want to be an Olympic athlete, you want to be great, you want to be the best at something, there are just certain things that you have to do. And it's non-negotiable. You just have to do it. And so there were, without a doubt, days like that day before Christmas or a rainy day in January when I didn't want to do it, but I knew that I just point blank, I had to do it. And the way that I always viewed it is that is the price of admission to the podium. And you have to do certain things to achieve certain results. And it doesn't mean that you're excited about it always. It doesn't mean that you're going to have fun with it always. Some days, and this is what I would explain to people, some days it's just work and you're not enjoying it. You're not having fun. When you're training for the Olympics, you are training 300 days a year, hot weather, cold weather, your friends got a wedding that day, your birthday, it doesn't matter. You are training 300 days a year. And day number 296, you might not really feel like it, but you have to do it. And you just get up, you get the job done, and then you move on with your day.
Work is a great 4-letter word ending in K. It's one of those other 4-letter words ending in K. And I want to pull out from you something that I believe that you're sharing with us, and it's quite important. You didn't say, I'm training 365, because the body, as well as the mind and the spirit, needs some space to recalibrate, internalize, utilize, and shape. So the 300 days out of the year is punctuated with a day of rest, we'll call Sabbath, let's say. Every
totally. Rest is a really important part of any training program.
Right.
Both physically and mentally. Your body's going to break down if you don't give it rest. And there are certain days where you're only training or practice. I would call it body maintenance days, where you would stretch and do the foam roller, get a massage. Like, it was literally just a couple of hours of maintenance for your body to try to make sure that it stays.
So it's really important to understand. By the way, right now we're having a technological glitch. So Connor is frozen in time. Connor, see if you can move your hands a little bit. Okay, he's still there. And we're moving along. I just want to make mention until he comes back in again. I hope he does. That the first, there he is. Okay, good. The first 3 letters of the word resilience, which we'll be talking about in a moment, are the first 3 letters in the word rest. So they interlock. You need both to become what we'll call human being. And on that high note, what I'm going to say is there's more Connor on the other side. We're going to a commercial break. We wouldn't have people on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time. We vet them first. These are great sponsors. So we'll be right back with more Connor Fields and learning about moving into the world of opportunity and resilience and growth and success and everything that you do. Be right back. Don't go away.
Hello, skincare connoisseurs. If you think you have tried everything in skincare, you are going to love what I am about to tell you. I'm pharmacist Benjamin I. Fuchs. I'm a dermatology pharmacist, and what I've discovered in my compounding pharmacy after decades of working with patients with skin traumas and skin diseases is the missing link in skincare is topical essential nutrition. And because of this missing link, we're not maximizing the potential of topical skincare. We're leaving skin beauty and skin health on the table. And that's why I formulated my Truth Treatments. Listen, the skin's an organ. It needs and wants and craves nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and plant-derived minerals, and now it can get them in super high concentrations in my Truth Treatments. Originally formulated for dermatologists and their patients, now they're available to you. Check them out today at truthtreatments.com, and I know you are going to love the truth.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Connor Fields. Our cup runneth over with good. Olympic gold medalist in a most interesting, amazing sport called BMX. Now, Connor, for the sake of the people that are worldwide, we have people from Bhutan, from Bangladesh, from the Congo, and all over Latin America and the United States. So give us just a tiny bit. What is BMX? So that people get a sense of it. I mean, I've seen videos and you running on rails and jumping and hopping and flipping. What is it?
BMX stands for bicycle motocross. It was invented in the 1960s by kids who would make homemade race tracks out of dirt. They would grab their bikes and they would race around the tracks. Lots changed since those days, but a few things have it. There's a starting line, there's jumps, there's turns, there's a racetrack, there's a finish line, and the rules are very simple. First person across the finish line wins.
Okay, and I urge everybody, first of all, don't take any notes. Everything is in the show notes here, both Connor. I urge everybody to click on some videos of seeing what people do and how they jump and flip and spin and move and such like that. So it's at one and the same time, you need to get to the finish line before anybody else finishes. And you want to do it in the most artistic, amazing, wonderful, circus-like performance. Is that fair to say?
No, it is. So there's two different disciplines. There is freestyle BMX and there's racing BMX. Just like in many of the snowboarding and skiing sports, there's aerials and there's racing. The freestyle BMX, that's where you're flipping. That's where you're going for height. That's where you're doing the tricks. What I did is racing. It's point A to point B as fast as you can.
And how long is that fast as you can?
Every racetrack is different. That's part of what I enjoyed about it, is it was never the same. Short tracks are going to be 26, 27 seconds. Longer tracks can be up to 45, 46, 47 seconds.
Okay, but everything's under a minute.
Yeah, it's a sprint. It is a sprint. We train very similar to 200-meter sprinters.
And you're racing against 3 people, 5 people, 8 people?
8 people in every race.
And do people bump into each other? I mean, is it like on a horse racing track with people bumping into each other?
Yep, it is a full contact sport. Bumping is quite frequent.
Bumping meaning on purpose?
On purpose and on accident. The on purpose situation might be you're going around a corner, somebody comes underneath you and uses you to kind of bump, pivot, and make the corner. And then unintentional, let's say there's 2 people going for the same line on the racetrack. They might run into each other because they're going for the same line.
I presume and hope that you're wearing thick leather jacket and a helmet.
Not thick leather jacket, but you typically do wear pads, elbow pads, knee pads, helmet, that kind of safety equipment.
Okay, so let's talk about what happened with you. What happened on the track?
At the Tokyo 2021 Olympics, I collided with a French rider and I went down. I broke ribs, collapsed a lung, tore ligaments in my shoulder, tore my bicep, and had a traumatic brain injury, which was the big one. I was in a coma for 5 days. I was bleeding on 4 different parts of my brain. It was pretty touch and go there for a little bit if I was going to survive. Obviously, thankfully, pulled through. And then it was about 18 months of rehabilitation to get back to normal.
Okay, so let's talk about normal later. Let's talk about rehabilitation now. Obviously, one knows deep in one's mind when you're racing against the best in the world, because that's who you are, racing against when you're in the Olympics, that anything can happen. Obviously, you don't focus on it because, like the great Wallendas and the high wire act people, and they ask them, how'd you go from one point to point B? So always focused on getting across. I didn't think about falling. So you're not thinking at all about what those events that can happen, and that it happens. And you're talking about breaking the body in pieces, and then, as you said, traumatic brain injury. So you were out for 5 days in a coma. Now, you didn't know that. When you opened your eyes, what did you experience, if anything? Could you move your body?
Yeah, so, to bring it back a little bit on what you were saying, like, you are always aware of the inherent risk of what we do. I mean, we're going 40 miles an hour, jumping 50 feet on a bicycle. Like, that there is risk. I've broken plenty of bones over the years. I have friends that are paraplegics. I've got people in my world who I know have suffered terrible, terrible injuries. So you know that there's always the inherent risk, but we are, I guess, daredevils is kind of the best way to describe it. And when you have an accident, like, you almost prefer, like, if it was a choice, you would rather break an arm or a leg than have a head injury, right? Like, bones heal, ligaments heal. You only get one head. You don't want to mess with that, especially with all the new studies that have come out about concussions and CTE and head injuries and things like that. When I was out, I was in a hospital in Japan. It was COVID. So remember, it was COVID. Nobody was there. Parents couldn't be there. Family wasn't there. So when I woke up, I was in a hospital bed in Japan. I didn't really know how I got there, what was going on. The last thing I remembered was the morning of the race. And then my phone was next to me on the nightstand, and I turned my phone on, and there was, 500 messages from everybody I've ever met. And then I basically found out what happened by seeing, every major news media outlet, ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN, AP, etc., that were all talking about what happened, because it happened on live television. So I pieced it all together by opening my phone and seeing that.
So you were able, when your eyes opened and you had some cognition, you were able to move part of your body. But you weren't in any way.
I wasn't incapacitated in any way. Physically, I was very lucky with the way that my injury was. My biggest problems were in processing speed and memory. So there was about a year that I was, I guess the best way to describe it is slow. Like, it just took me a little bit longer to get where I needed to get. And then my memory wasn't great. Like, I would tell you the same story twice. But the brain is incredible. It can rewire itself, create new neural pathways. And, I did everything my therapist told me to do. I worked very hard, and I was able to make a full recovery.
I want to delve deeper here because as my particular situation, standing up in the morning completely healthy and hearty, in the evening quadriplegic from a rare disease, not an automobile accident or spinal injury. And the rewiring of the brain, as I said, everything is in the show notes, is more than just, gee, that's fascinating. It is truly the greatest breakthrough that we experience as human beings, and certainly in the past, in this century more than any other time. And I think I'm hoping that artificial intelligence will actually be of benefit to people in compromised situations to help speed up the process that you were able to go through, and me to an extent as well. The ability to even speak about rewiring your brain so that it's done in a conscious and subconscious mechanism. And I'd like you to speak about that, how that relates to resilience, because you had to be, I'm putting words in your mouth, you had to become a true believer in yourself. You were before because you were a daredevil. You were one of the greatest in the world. You won the gold. I mean, everybody knows it. And now you're in a spot where the good Lord says, Mr. Fields, we need your attention. It's time to rewire, reset, and work your game so that resilience allows you to also achieve peak performance off the track.
Yeah, I'll explain it in a way that it was explained to me that made a lot of sense, that I thought was it really helped me understand the idea of the neural pathway in the brain rewiring itself. So the way that it was explained to me by the doctors was, you hit your head really, really bad. There might be parts of your brain that are damaged forever, but think about it like it's a city, like downtown New York City, and there is construction on one of the roads. That does not mean that you can't get from point A to point B. You just are going to have to take a different route, use different roads to get to point B. And so when you're recovering from the injury, as you're relearning certain things, as you're getting your speed of processing back up, your brain is essentially finding new routes through the downtown grid, because maybe there's construction or there's a closed road on one of the routes, but it can still get where it needs to get. And when that was explained to me like that, it made a lot of sense. And then the other one is a neural pathway. And that's why the common phrase is, it's like riding a bike, you never forget. So what happens is when you learn how to ride a bike, you are creating pathways in your brain that you know how to ride a bike. Same way that if you don't know how to juggle and I taught you how to juggle, you're creating a new path in your brain that knows how to juggle. Now, if you don't juggle for 5 years and then you come back and you try it again, that pathway is still there. It's just dusty and there's spider webs on it. And, it's going to take you a second to kind of clean it out and dust it off, but it's already there. So it's going to come a lot quicker than if you had to create it from scratch and start over again. So when I was recovering, I was having to either create new pathways or dust off pathways that had been kind of forgotten about through my accident. So when that was explained to me like that, it made a lot of sense. And I guess like the mindset for me when I was recovering was twofold. Number one was, if there's never been anything that is more worth dedicating and working hard for than to be healthy. So like my commitment and effort level to my recovery was the same that it was to try to win the Olympics. It was 24 hours a day. Every decision that I made centered around trying to recover. I cut things out of my diet. I didn't have any alcohol for 18 months. If my therapist told me to do an exercise 5 times, I did it 10. It was all day, every day. Every choice I made centered around recovery, because there's never been anything more worth dedicating to than that. And then the last thing about it was, and this is like kind of, I guess, oversimplifying it. Everybody always wants to know the secret. Like, what's the secret to resilience? You just have to do it. Like I woke up in the morning and I had no option. Option number one is sit in my bed and cry and be sad that this happened. Option number 2 is put my boots on and go to work and try to get better. And that's it, period. There wasn't a third door. And so it was option 1, option 2. And every single day, no matter how much I didn't want to do it or how hard it was option 2 that I chose. I put the boots on and went to work.
Again, you chose option number 2.
Yep.
the choice, not chance, determines your destiny. It was a chance, what we call, for want of a better term, accident, that put you in a particular place. It was your choice that allows you to be Connor Fields, that emblem of peak performance, of resilience, that people can come to you and say, Connor, what's the secret? Oh, fine. You know, when people do that, they really want to know it's good for them. And especially for people, younger people that are in hospitals. I've been blessed to have been asked to go visit people over the years to come and talk to them about getting better. Even though I can't move bottom of my being. Okay, so, but I swim 2 miles a day. I can barely pick up a spoon sometimes. Okay, but I can pick up a spoon. And what you're saying is not just, gee, that sounds good. It's absolutely true. By the way, the word joy is a wonderful acronym. And this is you, Connor. Journey of you. That's what joy is, isn't it? Journey of you.
It is. And, you know, and I'll tell people, I said, you're the only person that you have to live with, talk to, and be with every single day for the rest of your life. So you better get to know yourself and like yourself.
Right.
And if you don't like yourself, change yourself.
So this way, I asked Connor before the show. I've seen many pictures of him because I was preparing for the show and such. And he has some, I guess it's a brand
racing uniform,
right? Called Fly, Fly, which everybody knows. Fly. Okay, you know, you're on a BMX on Fly, yeah. And also is a great acronym. It stands for First Love Yourself. As Connor just said, hello, it's you. I want to talk about one small point that happened. You woke up, you're able to reach your phone, you're able to at least functionally look at messages and such like that. It's COVID, your parents are not around. How did everything work out to get you from a hospital bed in Tokyo back to Las Vegas, where you live?
Yeah. So, obviously, with it being COVID, nobody was allowed into the country. We did have Team USA medical staff. So I spent 10 days, 8 to 10 days. I don't remember. The whole time's foggy. I spent 8 to 10 days in the hospital in Japan, and then eventually was cleared to return home to America with medical transport. So I got medical transport back to America, and then immediately went to neurological rehabilitation here. And it's funny, I trained for 5 years, but really intensely for 6 months before the Olympics. And when you're training for the Olympics, you can't wait to be done, because you're like, I'm going to be done. I'm going to go get a cheeseburger. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to relax. I'm going to have a couple months of just me time. But I got back and I continued working just as hard. I never got to stop. I never got to rest because I was straight to rehab. But I got home, and then the rehab began, and it was, step by step. It was every single day just trying to get better. And then that lasted for about 18 months total. But the neuro rehab was about 8 or 9 months. And then my reward for finishing my brain rehab was surgery to get my shoulder and bicep fixed, because they didn't want to put me under for surgery until I was back, cognitively recovered. And then there was a day where, my physical therapist said, your shoulder's good, you're healthy, you're good to go. And that was the first day that I woke up the next morning and didn't have any rehabilitation.
And you were able to put your feet over the side of the bed, stand up and walk?
Yeah. And then I was like, what do I do today? I don't have any rehab. What do I do?
Wow. Well, I couldn't do that for years. I couldn't even move for years. Okay. But that brings us to what we call the A word. And it doesn't go ASS. It's ADA, adapt. Adaptability. Now, let's be blunt. Head trauma, shoulder needs work, this needs work. We're going to fix you up later. Let's just work on this now. Adaptability throughout that whole process.
Yeah, and really at the end of the day, it just came down to no different than in level 1 trauma. When let's say you're in a car accident, they're not so worried about your broken arm as they are worried about your organs and your brain and the things that are the most important for life. So that was the whole thought process, was like, let's focus on the head first before we, go and do your shoulder. But, that was a whole new challenge when I was healthy. It was, okay, the question was, do I come back? Do I want to race again? I was 15 minutes away from the final. The accident happened in the semifinal. I was the number 1 seed. I, was the favorite again, and I didn't get to finish. I worked for 5 years and didn't get to finish. So the question was, all right, 2 years until the Paris Olympics, do I try? And I had to make that decision. I sat with it for a little bit, but ultimately it was an easy decision because nothing is more important than your health, and I wasn't willing to risk it again. And then I retired, and that was the first time since I was 7 years old. I was 29 at the time, but I was 7 years old till 29, where every single day I woke up in the morning with the goal of winning the next race. And this was the first day I woke up and said, all right, what do I want to be when I grow up?
Okay, on that note, don't go away. We're right back after this brief message. This is riveting. We love you, Connor. Be right back. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version, for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Good day. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, and immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe a good-looking show I was looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Connor Fields, Olympic gold medalist. Also, the result of a collision at the Olympics in Tokyo, and now he has brain trauma, body shattered, and it's COVID, and he's in rehabilitation. So he now has to live with resilience and adaptability. Connor, by the way, during the break, I came up with an acronym for your name. Can I share it with you?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, CONNOR, creating open, nurturing, notable, ongoing resilience.
I love it. I like ongoing resilience. I think that's a good thing to point out, because people think like, oh, I just have to be resilient right now through this. Resilience is every single day, forever. Never stops.
Let's talk about the 2 words that come to my mind, and I'm sure people ask you, and then you talk to us about making the decision. Okay, Connor Fields, Olympic gold medalist, surviving all this stuff. Now what?
Yeah, and it's funny because, I'll give you a backstory. I was doing a little bit of motivational keynote speaking even before the accident, right? Like, talking about goal setting and peak performance and how to get the best out of yourself, how to win the Olympics, that kind of thing. But then when I was healthy, after I had recovered from my accident, I wanted to get back into speaking, but my whole story was different now. Everything was different. And so Now What was born. And, what that really circles around, there's kind of 4 blocks, 4 sections to my speech. It's being a 15-year-old kid deciding that I wanted to go to the Olympics one day. It's going to my first Olympics and finishing 7th, winning the Olympics, and then the accident in Tokyo. And although there are 4 very different moments across the spectrum, everything from winning the Olympics to epically failing the Olympics, the next question was the same. Okay, now what? Right? You win the Olympics, you come home, you celebrate, and then you're like, all right, well, now what do I do? You wake up in a hospital in Japan, your career is over, and you're thinking, okay, now what do I do, right? And so that's one constant that every single person on this earth is going to have throughout life, is moments that they're thinking, now what? And so that is kind of what I speak on, and it's all about resilience, and it's about adaptability, and it's about pushing forward and how to be ready the next time that you're faced with that question that you will inevitably be faced with of now what?
Okay, so let's do two things. Let's ask you, Connor Fields, now what? And you just caused me to create an acronym because we love words. I love acronyms. So can I give you an acronym for now what?
You sure can, and I don't think I would want to play Scrabble with you. You'd be the boss, the expert at Scrabble.
How did you know? But I got to tell you one quick thing. This is for the world. I married 47 years to the same woman, an amazing woman, fabulous person. She comes from a different country, different culture. She's born and raised in Thailand. And we met here in the United States. Suffice it to say, when we play Scrabble, you might think, well, yeah, you know, the American guy can easily. My wife beats me in Scrabble most every time. And she happens to be very lucky also. She has me. But the point is that, yeah, we do love Scrabble. We do love words. And I would love to play with you with Scrabble. So let me tell you what I think is a potentially good use of the two words, now what? N-O-W. Ready? No other way. What? Watch how action transforms. Because what happens is people think, okay, now what? The key for you, from what I've been gleaning for our interaction together, is that interaction. It's the action of each one of those steps at 15, and being number 7, being number 1, being wounded, down, almost out. When you ask now what, you say, well, I know that action can transform. So that's my gift to you. Now what?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good way to put it. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, nothing happens without action. So the answer to now what is always always includes action.
And on that note, I want to ask you something pretty deep for me. Because you mentioned, I love finding out from people phrases and quotes they like. And you hit one that touches me deeply because it's how I live my life as well. Now, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you, Connor Fields, you are an Olympic gold medalist. Not you were. I'm speaking using the exact words. When you are that makes the difference in your life. Now, that's easy. That works for Connor Fields. Part of what happens in life is for everybody to recognize you're really a gold medalist. How do you instill that?
Yeah, you know, I think I really like that quote of how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's accountability. It's holding yourself to a high standard. You know, this is a fun thing to say, but I know quite a few Olympic gold medalists. None of them are lazy. All of them work really hard at whatever they're doing. If they are, you know, an accountant, they want to be the world's greatest accountant when they're retired, right? If they're coaching now when they're done competing, they want their athletes to win more gold medals than they want. It's also why a lot of employers like to hire ex-athletes, because if you're willing to commit and work and do the things it takes to be an elite level athlete, you're willing to do the same for other things. You know, and I think that what I would give to everybody who's listening, hold yourself to a high standard across the board, not just picking and choosing. I'm going to work really hard at this, but I'm going to be lazy over here, right? Like, you can't do that. You've got to hold yourself to that high standard all the time across everything. I just think that's an important way to live your life. And that's how I live my life. If I'm going to be a partner, I want to be the best partner that I can be. If I'm going to try to have fun, I'm going to try to have the most fun that I can, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, just try to do it the right way.
As we said in the beginning of the show, F you, Connor. I don't know if you're listening. That's how the 4-letter F-U word. F-U, capital N, capital N. So on that high note, I'm a little bit loath to say these words. Our time together is coming to a close. So I have 3 quick questions for you, Connor Fields. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Number one, will you come back again?
Sure.
Thank you. Number two, Connor Fields, what is your most fervent desire in life?
My most fervent desire, that's a deep question. I want to be healthy and around good people.
What a wonderful way of expressing it. I was blessed to be friends with a great player for Ohio State, the football team. And he told me that his coach, who's very famous, I won't mention the name, everything in the show notes, taught him something that has been sitting with me for 32 years. And it's what you just said, it's called YAW. Y-A-W, Y-A-W. You are who you associate with.
Yep.
Listen to what Connor just shared with you. Everybody in the world can do this. Be healthy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Am I right?
Yeah, it's all connected.
And hang around with good people.
Yep. Yeah, and I have a unique experience because I've lost my health. Right. And when you it's like when you're sick, right? If you have the flu, when you're mid-flu, you're thinking to yourself, I will never take it for granted feeling good ever again. And then you get through the flu, you kick it, and you're healthy again. You're like, wow, I feel incredible. But then a week later, you can slip and forget how grateful you are for that. I spent a year unhealthy. I spent time unable to drive, unable to do the things that I wanted to do. And when you miss that, it puts a different perspective of like, I really value my health. Every meal that I eat, how I take care of myself, how I sleep, how I rest. Like, it's all very important to me because I know how bad you can feel. And then being around good people, like, look, you could be rich in a mansion, but if you're alone, you're alone, right? Like, I'd rather be around good people that fill my cup, that make me smile, make me laugh. And that is true wealth, is being around good people.
So the number 3 question is, may I give you a hug in front of 531,702 people around the world?
Yep, absolutely. Give me a hug.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3. Remember, you're listening to The Joy of Living, the humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, and wonderful Connor Fields. Remember, this show is not about Connor, great guy that he is, or Barry, fabulous fellow. It's about you. Y-O-U, you being the best you. You heard it from Connor, be the best you all the time. And then what will happen? You will be living the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life has purpose. Number 2, lead a purpose life. You go mad. You make a difference in the world. Number 3, unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms, such as smile, seeing miracles in life every day. He did it, and he still does it every single day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in. You just heard it from him, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And yes, to use a lot of 4-letter words like we do. Love, life, hope, play, free, give, swim, and tell the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. So after the show, point your finger, have a smile on your face, a twinkle in your eye, say F you, everybody. Remember to add capital N, capital N. Where'd you get that? I was listening to Barry Shore. He had on Connor. You got their attention. You can share these deep, wonderful, soul-touching secrets. Remember to use the 2 most important words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. You'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these are, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Connor. And from Connor and Barry, a blessing to everybody. Go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Connor, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.